Our armor bundles provide unmatched safety and comfort, while our battle belts and holsters ensure quick and easy access to your gear. Stay prepared for any situation with our high-quality medical supplies, designed to keep you ready for action at all times. Looking to enhance your skills? Our firearms training programs will take your proficiency to the next level. Trust LT Defense for all your tactical gear needs and gear up for success on the battlefield.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hello, welcome. My name is Joey, and I am the host of the new Money in the Military show. And you might be asking, why are you qualified to teach a show on military money? Well, I was in the Air Force for 14 years. I paid off $20,000 in debt as an E3 when I first came in. And then I amassed a six-figure net worth within 6 years. And then I became really passionate about finance, and I just would talk about it to anyone who would listen or not listen. So I just became the annoying finance guy in the shop. But I've since become a financial social worker, and now I'm passionate about using my platform and my voice to help military members and their families and veterans with their finances. So that's the hope of this show. It's going to be interactive, it's going to be fun. We're going to be on Reddit and Discord and things like that, and we're just going to, we're going to highlight successful veterans. We're going to talk about, issues that are relevant to you. It's going to be crowdsourced, so whatever you guys want to talk about, that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm really excited about this project. I'm looking forward to engaging with you. If you have any questions or concerns, or just let me know, find me out. I'm all over the social medias as a fire social worker. And we'll start a relationship together and hopefully build a community of successful military members with their finances. Thank you for your time.
Welcome everyone. Holy wow, this is crazy. This is my first episode. I am on MBR Radio, giving veterans a voice. So my name is Joey. I am a financial social worker, certified financial social worker. I'm an Air Force vet. I was in the Air Force for 14 years. I got really passionate about personal finance. I paid off $20,000 in 3 years as an E3. And I just became really passionate about finance and helping people with their money problems. So I created this show to reach my fellow military members and veterans. I realized as I transitioned out of the service that there was a big need for financial guidance and literacy and coaching and all this other stuff. So I wanted to create this platform to give veterans a voice and to tell people's financial stories. Military members, veterans, Guard, reservists, everyone, the whole military family. I realized that there's a need for people sharing their stories. So I just wanted to kind of help facilitate that. And so I've been reaching out to different veterans and military members and basically asking them, are they willing to tell their financial story? And I actually got a lot of good feedback and support. And so that's basically what we're going to do during this show. We're going to talk about all kinds of different financial topics related to the military and to the military community. So this is live. If you guys want to jump in the chat and say hello, tell me where you're from. We're gonna talk all things military money, and I'm just really excited about this platform. And just a shout out to MBR. They're just an amazing platform. And if you're a veteran or a military member, or even anyone that you're interested in getting a podcast out there, definitely hit us up. We're definitely willing to work with you, and this is a great organization. So that's my pitch. So I just wanted to do a quick intro to my guest. He is we'll go into a lot of his details, but he's a very successful veteran. So he was successful while in the military, and then he's transitioned, and now he's just doing amazing things. So I'm really excited to get into the show with him. So without further ado, we're going to bring in Alistair Mercado.
Interview of the week sponsored by LTD Tactical.
All right. Good morning, Alistair. Man, I have to say, big props to you for waking up early. I know you're on the West Coast, and it's hardcore. It's 8:00 here. Was it 6 or 5 there?
It's 6 now, but
6. Okay. All
yeah,
right.
I just up before the family is, but waking up this early for the past 20 years. So
okay. Yeah.
New,
That's
right?
nothing new. Okay. All right. Well, I just want to say thanks for agreeing to be a part of this show, this platform. I think you have a really awesome story to tell, and I'm just excited to share your story. And maybe part of my intention of this was, I want to speak to the active duty crowd, or the people who are in the service right now, who are in the I'm hoping to have you tell some of your lessons learned while you were active, and maybe they can implement that while they're active. And then, maybe if we have time, we can work on the transition from active to veteran, and then maybe some of the things that you learned along the way to help people with that transition. So I really think you're a great case study for what you should be doing while in the service, and then what you should be doing out of the service. So I just want to say kudos to you for everything that you've done, and just being willing to share your story. I think a lot of people can really benefit from what you're bringing to the table. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you.
So let's just talk briefly about your I guess your financial origin story, let's talk about your military service first a little bit, and just kind of give people a background of what was your why? Why did you join the service? What was the motivations? And then, we can get into a little bit of the financial stuff after that.
Okay. Well, be 100% truthful to the cause. I joined the Army in 2003. Of course, that was not my first choice.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a Navy family. Actually.
Okay.
It actually goes as far back as my grandfather, really.
Okay.
He was GS-13, Army Corps of Engineers,
Nice.
but worked directly under the U.S. Navy. And
Okay.
Grandfather did 30 years. Dad did 20 years in the United States Navy from 1975 to 1995. And then I wanted to follow the same footsteps, because seeing my grandfather and my father and their rate of success, it just made sense to do so. I didn't join right after high school. I did graduate high school in 2000. In 2003, when 9/11 had happened and everything like that. So the call to serve was definitely ringing in my ear. And actually, the first choice was the Marines.
Oh, wow. Nice.
As much as I love the Marine Corps,
Yeah.
the image is definitely what I wanted, but not having a sure guarantee of what I would do was the issue. because
Okay.
I knew automatically I wanted to make it a career, 20 years, no more, no less. So I had to be very selective and precise on what branch would work best for me. Okay.
Right.
So after consulting with peers who had served in all branches, I walked into the Air Force office. uh, I actually had a contract.
Wow.
I'm not exactly sure what I was gonna do because in 2003, just like any other branch, it's you join and you find out what you do after, right? That's
Right.
kind of how it goes back in the
Mhm.
day. We didn't really
Mhm.
have a choice.
Right.
I'm imagining you and I are in the same age group, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
graduated 2000,
yeah,
joined in,
yeah.
well, I joined in 2006, but yeah, I graduated
So
high school in
we are
2000.
a special group, you and
Yeah.
I, Joey.
Uh-huh.
We're part of Gen X, but
Yeah.
we're also part of millennial and
Mhm.
a touch of Gen Z. We're
Yeah.
trying to accept that.
Yeah. We're
So there's a terminology we're called the zillennials.
oh,
Okay, right?
Zillennials. Okay, nice. Yeah.
It starts with a little X, right? So
Uh-huh.
we adopted everything from the Gen X side, and we are the first generation millennials.
Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, due to an issue I had with an ex-girlfriend, all right,
Mm. Okay.
um, I was not allowed to join the Air Force.
Okay.
I got into a
I'm
little
sure there's a story behind that, but yeah.
story. So basically, young, was with one girl, but I was messing around with
Okay.
so, so, yeah, more power to you. So in the Air Force, you have to be an altar boy, right? So
Mm.
it wasn't in the books for me. So I became what is called a DEP loss, and I took all my pre-qualified qualifications, and I walked into the Army office. All right,
Mm,
and
okay.
the Army, they waived everything that I had, and they saw the better character in me, and I was
Yeah.
able to go in that way. Navy
Okay.
was kind of out of the question because I just was not all about being on a boat, go
Mhm.
nowhere. I
Yeah.
like to keep my feet on the ground, and seeing the experiences my father went through, I really didn't want to repeat that. I didn't want to be
Yeah.
another Filipino in the Navy. Let's put it that way. So, but
Right.
everything
Yeah.
happens for a reason. So,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
joining the Army, um, I did have, oh gosh, $5,000 in school debt because I was
Mhm.
in college. Okay,
Mhm.
so there were three things I wanted it to fix. Relinquish the debt. So I did sign up for an MOS that had a bonus.
Yeah.
It was 12 grand, and it guaranteed me an assignment overseas to South Korea. So I was like, oh, this is awesome because I grew up in Asia. I was born and raised in the Philippines, so
Right.
I wanted to be closer to home so I could
Sure.
visit the family, and I took
Mhm.
advantage of that and
Yeah.
did Korea back to back tour.
Oh, wow.
Entered there as an E1 and I made E6 in 4 years. Did one more year as a platoon sergeant. Left there, and then in 2009, PCS back to my home state, which is Washington State, so I could be close to my parents and
Okay.
reconnect with my network and
Mhm.
be around friends and family. So it was really nice to be stationed in my hometown, Fort
Yeah.
Lewis, Washington.
Okay.
Um, Over there, did 5 years. Um, from there, I was Department of the Army selected to be a recruiter.
Oh,
So
wow.
from there, uh, at that same time, I also had met my wife, who's from Hawaii, and
Mm.
she had just finished nursing school 2 years prior. She was an active nurse over at Harborview Medical Center.
Mm.
Things worked out. We got married, and my first assignment in recruiting was Southern California in Orange County. So
Wow.
I was a recruiter at the Westminster Recruiting Station, which is now called Garden Grove, I believe. Um,
Mhm.
there for 3 years, very successful, fell in love with the craft. I learned how to operate and do business in a military aspect because as a
Yeah.
recruiter, that's in essence what you're learning and what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then did really well there. And we were blessed to take an assignment to my wife's home state. So I was a recruiting station commander over in West Hawaii on the island of Kailua Kona on the Big Island,
Wow.
and then very successful there. Uh, did 3 years there. Then my command team asked me where I wanted to go next because it was really going to be my moonlight tour, my last before prior to retirement. So I elected to move back to California and took over a recruiting station in Los Angeles County. So I was the El Monte recruiting station commander for a couple of years. And in my last year and a half, I was the senior master trainer, aka the training director for Los Angeles Recruiting Battalion. And what I wanted to do there in that position was pretty much spread my knowledge and experience before I left recruiting. So
wow.
I had a pretty good positive active control on the welfare and then the direction and training of all the recruiters in Southern California, in LA County, to include Ventura County. And after that, retired and started my own business and do everything through e-commerce. So I have a wonderful job that requires just being here, as you can see, and getting a retirement, getting a VA, multiple streams of income. It's pretty good.
You're living the dream, man. You're doing it right. So yeah, that's definitely a lot that we can cover and dig into.
Yeah.
You know, like I am definitely curious to learn more about some of your financial like decisions and milestones that you made during your service. So we'll get into that. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like you had a really great and a very strategic. It seems like you're very strategic with your 20 years. You knew ahead of time you're going to do your 20 and be done. And not everyone has that sense of vision, and
correct.
That's really, I think that's been a highlight of your success. So we can talk about that a little bit later too. Let me see. I just want to check in with Joel. Are we due for a commercial break, Joel, or are we good?
Yeah, we're waiting, but I didn't want to push you. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back and jump back in the conversation.
All right, then tell everybody what we're going to be doing when we come back. What are we going to be talking about?
We're going to jump into Alistair's active duty financial decisions that he made.
All right, there we go.
Stats tell that each day, 22 veterans commit suicide due to PTSD. These stats shook us and urged us to do our part. After hours and hours of thinking, Beekeeping for Veterans was born. Beekeeping for Veterans combines beekeeping with mindfulness meditation. Why combine them? Here's why. Beekeeping causes positive rush of adrenaline while beekeeping. You have to be calm during it. You are mindful of your movements. Each week, a veteran will receive a mindful meditation to build emotional and mental skill sets. Mindfulness is a set of 3 attentional skills that work together: concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity, mental calmness, composure, evenness of temper. Every time mindfulness is practiced, we build these skills. Beekeeping for Veterans not only helps veterans overcome emotional trauma, but also aids our environment, as without bees, there is no food. Come forward. The people who have supported your country now need your support.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming back. My name is Joey, the fire social worker. I'm back here with Alistair Mercado, and we're going to talk a little bit about his journey while he was in the military, kind of some of the financial things that he did that kind of propped him up for success throughout his career. So, Alistair, you talked a little bit about your overall story, but now I kind of want to dig into your finances a little bit and some of the decisions that you made that you felt like were really impactful while you were active duty. So what would you say was one of the bigger things that you did, or a couple of things that you thought that you did that you, looking back especially, that was like, man, I'm glad I did that?
Oh yeah. I want to start by when I first got that bonus.
Okay.
Yeah. It was $12,000 taxed.
Right.
And at the time, I didn't have the mindset, obviously, now than I did then. Okay. Going into debt, what happens for one of three reasons. It was by choice, no choice,
Right.
or it just hits you,
Yeah. Yeah.
it just hits you, right?
Yeah.
But unless you change your mentality of how you handle that, you'll always be in debt.
Mm-hmm.
So school was one thing. Actually, when I joined, I was 5,000 in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
I almost could not get the MOS I wanted because of the clearance it required, and the
Oh,
fact
okay.
that I was in those credit rebuilding programs to pay
Yeah.
off what I couldn't handle.
Mm-hmm.
It was nerve-wracking. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I enlisted, or when I went to the military entrance processing station, I had to explain, do you have a plan to pay this off? And I did. I had it
Mm.
documented and everything like that. So I knew that from there, the one guarantee and the one entitlement the one thing that the recruiter told you the truth on was
Mhm.
guaranteed pay and entitlements, right? The
Yeah.
1st and 15th will always come. So when I found that out, and I always knew that because through my
Mhm.
father and my grandfather,
Right.
okay, now I signed a contract for 6 years. Now I know that I will have a guaranteed paycheck every 1st and 15th.
Mhm.
So how I handle that, what I do with that is very important. Okay. So the first
Yeah.
thing is, when I was in basic, okay, and AIT, all right, advanced individual
Mhm.
training, you
Mhm.
shouldn't have to be spending your money on much.
Right.
Okay. You shouldn't
Yeah.
have to be. So I said,
Mhm.
okay, I know in those first 5-6 months, I can pay off all this debt that I have from school. Okay.
Yeah.
And not to mention some of the irresponsible actions I did when I first got a credit card at the age of 18.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So paid off that and didn't even think about what's great. I didn't have to think about money. Okay. It
Right.
automatically was paying stuff off. Okay.
Mhm.
And then when I got to Korea, you have to sign up to, now that you've done the initial entry training requirements, you apply to get your bonus, which was 12 grand. And after tax, I think that was like, I don't know, what, 10,000, something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They give you, I believe, 50, 60% up front, and the rest is divvied out throughout the rest of your term. Okay.
Mhm.
So I also entrusted my mother with my finances at the beginning. I was
Okay.
21, I was young. So I needed some type of physical control for
Mm.
someone to help me with the spending. Okay.
Right.
Um, I like to believe that when a person enlists or commissions, our structure, the way we get paid it's almost just like I think I told you in an email, it's like when the NFL, when
Mhm.
someone gets drafted, right?
Yeah.
They come from the same gutter rut that we're from, and then overnight they have this. I mean, we're not going to be millionaires,
Right.
but we
Yeah.
have this guaranteed income now, and
Yeah.
we're all coming from that same mentality, all right?
Mhm. Mhm.
When you have this guaranteed revenue now, this guaranteed income, there are programs, there are systems in place within an organization to help make that grow and sustain it. But it's up to you if you want to take that.
Mhm.
Okay. If you
Yeah.
come from a fixed income living and a fixed mentality, you're gonna bring that with you
Mhm.
in the military.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the military teaches you how to be a soldier, an airman, the service member, everything it's supposed to be. But the
Yep.
finance part, I was like, when am I gonna be taught that? When am I gonna be taught that? Okay.
Mhm.
I want to be good at that. To me, that is part of the full, in my world, soldier model. When
Right.
am I gonna be taught that? Okay.
Mhm.
Never. I can tell you maybe on one hand how many times in my 20-year career where an actual financial advisor showed up to a unit and talked about finances, and at the same time nobody was listening to him.
Mhm.
You know, it's
Yeah.
it's a touchy subject. Like nobody wants to hear
Mhm. Right.
it.
Yeah.
So, but I was the guy that would always approach him on the side, like, "Hey, I'd really like to pick your brain, and
Mhm.
I want to be better with my money." You're never going to be perfect with your money, but you can always ask from people who are certified and licensed and educated.
Yeah.
how to be better. So
Mhm.
so that first tour in Korea, I took matters in my own hands and educated myself, because there are people out there, there are other service members out there that secretly are building their wealth and being more disciplined with this stream of income they now have. So
Yeah.
I took advantage of my situation. Now in Korea, you don't have to own a car. You don't all those necessities that you need stateside, I didn't have. So I didn't have
Right.
to couldn't own a car really. Couldn't
Yeah.
drive, nothing like that.
Mhm.
And as an E1, you're not making much, right?
Right.
So when I got my bonus, put it in a CD. All right.
Mm.
I did the ladder system. Okay.
Okay.
I knew I was going to be there for a certain amount of time. So I made those CDs locked in a term from the time I left is when they
Mm.
mature. Okay.
Okay.
And then during that time, the opportunity to extend in Korea was there. It was called
Mm.
AIP at the time.
Yeah.
So if you stay there, you get an extra 150 a month. For an E1 private, that's phenomenal. I'm like, shoot,
Mhm.
okay, I can
Yeah.
put up with this. I'm
Right.
Asian. I like it here. It's fine. And then just so happens the AIP got extended. And if you stayed there for 2 years, you get 450 a month.
Ooh.
So whenever I took advantage of that. And I was
Mhm.
also moving up very high. I was doing, I want to do well in my first
Yeah.
3-4 years in the Army.
Mhm.
And so I extended. And all that extra income, I never saw it as extra, like, oh, more money to spend. I saved it away,
Yeah.
put it
Yeah.
away. And then made E6 in 4 years. Okay.
Nice.
So I got there as an E1.
Wow.
Here I am, 4 years later, E6. And then I there was a moment where the Army's like, okay, man, you got a PCS, you got to go back stateside,
Yeah.
But at that window, at the 4-year mark, you're allowed to re-enlist when you're 2 years out from the ETS date. So I took advantage of that.
Mhm.
And I said, what are the back in the day, what are the incentives for re-enlisting and staying
Mhm.
in Korea?
Mm. Mm. Okay.
So at that time there was money, there was some other incentives, but to me, leave and a free round trip ticket to the United States was worth it to me. So
Yeah.
if you re-enlisted for 1 more year, they gave you a free round trip ticket anywhere in the US. So go home, and in 2 weeks of free leave. So I was like,
Wow.
take that, that's
Yeah.
not tax, take it. So did that, did my 1 more year, left Korea and got Fort Lewis. So
Yeah.
big win. That's where I wanted to go, because if I
Mhm.
had not stayed or re-enlisted to stay, they would have sent me to Fort Sill. And to me, I was like, being a E6 in the Army, I don't know what it is like in the other branches, but once you're E6, you're allowed to live off the economy. They'll give you
Right.
BAH, right?
Mhm.
In Korea, it
Mhm.
wasn't like that. And I'm actually
Right.
feel like I was cheated 1 year of BAH when I was in Korea, because
Yeah.
that's the only
Yeah.
duty station where you can't get BAH as a single E6, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I strategically chose Fort Lewis because
Mm.
I'm a resident of there. I know the people, I know the network.
Yeah.
Integration for going back there was going to work out perfectly.
Mhm.
So got to Fort Lewis, stayed with my parents for a couple months before I found the perfect place. So I had to
Smart.
commute. Yeah, had to
Mhm.
commute from Silverdale, Washington, all the way to Fort Lewis for a little bit.
Wow.
And then when I got integrated to the unit, I had by coincidence, a platoon sergeant of mine, one of my mentors, he had base housing on McCord Air Base. You know where McCord Air Base is, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
neighboring station to Fort Lewis.
Mhm.
And he's like, hey, have you found a place to live yet? I was like, not yet. Hey, well, I'm a single dad, and I got an extra room. So if you want to bunk up at the house, I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, if someone's going to offer it for free, let's do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So stayed there. And for a couple months, of course, paid him maybe a couple $100 just to stay, but
Mhm.
I'm getting BH
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
saving that,
Nice.
because I wanted to prepare to live in the right place
Yeah. Yeah.
and get a residence.
Mhm.
Um, at that time, my mindset was not to buy at the moment, but just find a strategical place to live that was close within post, and at least make it work on time. I was an overseas soldier for so long,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
integrating myself in the U.S. on a mainland post was kind of difficult for me.
Yeah.
The transition
Yeah.
was pretty difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like driving to formation.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
was weird. That was weird to me.
Yeah.
And then when
Going
you get
from
to
overseas to the stateside is definitely a tough
very
transition.
different, very different. I'm like, where is everybody? Why does everybody have an appointment? Like, where is
Right.
so,
Oh man.
yeah. So did 5 years there. I got to experience deployment while I was there. While I was deployed is where I was like, wow, okay, now we're making a little bit more money out here. All right.
Yeah.
Regardless of what
Yeah.
you're doing, you get hazardous
Mhm.
duty pay, imminent danger pay, your pay is
Mhm.
tax free, and you
Yeah.
can actually commit to the what's that savings program we have where it's like 10% return for the first year?
SDP, I think SDP.
Yeah, the SDP.
Savings
You know,
deposit
put in
program.
that.
Mhm.
Right, but you can only max like 10,000 in there. So
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
hey, that's better than nothing. So
Right.
did
Yeah.
that.
Oh.
Oh.
You wanna...
Yeah, that's the cue for.
Okay.
Oh, for a commercial.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, look, we'll jump into follow on with what you're talking about with the your time in the service, and then we'll talk about the transition to your veteran life after that.
Sure.
All right, Joel, you can I guess you can play if you want.
Is he still there?
I'm not sure. Oh man.
One of the benefits of being live, right?
Yeah. We're doing it live. So I guess we can keep talking until he jumps us out. But yeah. So it sounds like once again I'm hearing a lot of strategic thinking. You know,
Mhm.
you made really smart decisions. You know, with your with every opportunity you were thinking, okay, how do I make the right financial decision? So I really, it definitely sounds like you were very forward thinking
Yeah.
with that.
Well, that's the
So
thing. It's like every tour you have, you know how long you're going to be there.
right.
Okay. So, okay, if I'm going to be here for 3 years, map that out financially. How
Mhm.
much, if I save or invest in something, I know what it's going to be because I know I'm going to be here for 3 years. I have that
Mhm.
guaranteed stream.
Right.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you take it duty station at a time, in essence. You really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you're overseas. I know a lot of people, when they get overseas, they want to stay overseas. And I was the same way. I didn't want to come back stateside, but you can
Mhm.
make a lot of good money and be really,
Absolutely.
really strong financially when you come out of an overseas assignment. But
Mhm.
I've also seen instances of people blowing their money. And I mean, to some extent, you want to travel and you're in a foreign country. That's great. I spent a lot of money traveling in Japan, but it's always, you can always be strategic about it too. And
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, flip to you.
That's okay. We're running into issues. We're gonna play a music break and we'll come back.
Okay, sounds good.
Another regular day, nobody knows. It's that time, he's coming home to them from a foreign land. He pulls up, his mama cries, looks at daddy with tears in his eyes and says, nothing feels better than this. Couple of months go by and no one sees. Something just ain't right, all he wants is peace. He needs help, but he don't know the path to take or the way to go to be free and put his mind at ease. We will help, 'cause we can't stand to see a soldier go to God by their own hands. We will do every everything we can to make 22 0 again. He gets help, but he still feels off. Sees an ad on the TV about a dog batting said, "This is a man's best friend." Whoa, so he goes one day and he picks it up. Never thought a dog could bring so much love and put a smile on his face. But he's finally found a saving grace. He needs help, but he don't know the path to take or the way to go to be free. Put his mind at ease. We will help, 'cause we can't stand to see a soldier go to God by their own hands. We will do everything we can to make 22 0 again. Whoa, whoa. He needs help, but he don't know the path to take or the way to go to be free. Put his mind at ease. We will help, 'cause we can't stand to see a soldier go to God by their own hands. We will do everything we can to make 22 0 again.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right. We back? All right. Okay. So we had a little bit of technical glitch there. I'm not sure what happened, but we're back. And just wanted to, if there was anything that we were talking about before the break, is there anything that you wanted to touch up on?
No, I was going to continue. I know I probably went off in a couple tangents, but
Oh no, you're fine. Like I said, this is, I think, your financial story. It really adds color to your military time, and like I said, all this is really intended to give people some actionable like tips and advice on how to navigate their finances in the military. So,
Mhm.
we can cover a whole spectrum of topics, and it
Oh, yeah.
sounds like you're super financial. Like you're where I want to be. Whenever this is all said and done. So
Mhm.
I got a lot to learn from you. So we can kind of talk a little bit more about the transition period,
Mhm.
maybe, and just kind of give some good advice or some lessons learned from your
Yeah.
time. From you have this steady paycheck. You're doing good things. You do your 20 years, and then you
Mhm.
decide, okay, I'm ready to transition to the civilian world. So
Mhm.
so what was your transition like, and what are some financial successes that you had, or what are some of the things that you felt like really prop you up for success?
Oh yeah, well that last that last line you said, what really propped up was what really helped me out and opened my eyes was when I took recruiting duty.
Okay.
Because when you're going recruiting duty, you're not attached to a military post anymore. You are out in the wild, man.
Mm. Mhm.
And I got a wake up call when after I was transferred from Orange County to Hawaii, is when I was like, okay, I got to figure something out. And being
Mm.
on recruiting really opened up my eyes as far as being an entrepreneur and learning how to generate other streams of income while in service,
Yeah.
utilizing the resources you have or utilizing only what you have.
Mm.
Um, so when I got transferred from Orange County to Hawaii, my wife's a nurse, by the way.
Mhm.
So I have to, and that's another thing about being in the military and being good with your finances. I mean, not everybody can say this, but I also have to be cognizant and be aware of where I'm going to go. Is my
Mm.
wife also going to generate the same stream of income or more wherever we go? Because her income is just as important as mine.
Sure.
Okay. And
Mhm.
she's a working woman herself, medical professional, RN. Okay.
Mhm.
So when we were in Orange County, I knew I wanted to go there. I knew I wanted to go there as the first duty station. Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you're on recruiting, you do get paid more. You get, like, at the time, you get an extra 450 a month. Okay. Again,
Nice.
did
Yeah.
not see that as extra income. Put
Right.
that away like I didn't have it. And you live off the economy, so you make with what you get as far as your BH. And
Mhm.
where I was stationed at too was Westminster. So what was great about that is we get the same BAH as Los Angeles, but we
Ooh.
live in a place in Orange County where cost of living is a
Mhm.
little bit cheaper. So
Yeah.
that extra $1,000 in BH, you know,
Yeah.
we put that away. That was that made that, for me, that cash flow
Mhm.
was stronger for us. And then for her, um, she had worked at Harvey Field Medical Center her whole life, so she never had to
Wow.
apply for a job until
Mm.
I took her away.
Yeah, yeah.
And luckily, when we got there, she landed a job at I forgot the name of that big hospital in Orange County, but uh,
Mm.
starting 100 grand a year. So it was great for us. No kids
Yeah.
yet at the time, so it was great. It was a great strategical financial move for both of us.
Mm.
And then going to Hawaii, the Big Island, very different. Okay,
Mhm.
very different.
Mhm.
Um, uh, our pay was virtually cut in half, right?
Wow.
Because the cost of living, everything's different. Because the army is
Yeah.
only gonna, or the military is only gonna supply you with enough to be above the median income of the environment you live in. So
Right.
we wanted to have our first child. So I
Mm.
knew that there was going to be a moment where she's going to have to stop working, and that revenue is going to go away. So
Yeah.
uh, I just made, when you're put in that situation, you start to really think. You start to really think. Okay,
Mhm.
complain to DFAS. I can't complain to Department. They're not going to pay me more. So I
Right.
got to figure something out.
Mhm.
So I thought to myself, okay, I'm by myself on this island. Okay,
Yeah.
so as long as I keep doing my job, I can figure things out. And I come from a background where I'm Filipino, and you know
Mhm.
anything about the Filipinos, where the Filipinos are natural entrepreneurs, man. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
people live in that country to survive. So
Right.
you think about these things to survive, and I was like, okay, I have 2 cars. I could It's a tourist destination, so on my off time, I Ubered. I rented my car out. Okay.
Nice.
So
Turo?
now yep. And
Yeah.
I use an app called, I use Turo, and Uber had just touched the island. So
Oh,
I
wow.
was I was like one of like 5 drivers on the
Oh,
island.
man. Yeah, I bet
Yeah,
you're
it's
dang.
fresh, and we host Ironman once a year. So gosh, the moment I started doing that,
Yeah.
I was making like an extra 4,000 a month just from those
Wow.
apps. Yeah, it
That's
was
crazy.
great. My wife was like, "Oh, I don't have to work anymore." Like, no, no, no.
Right? No, yeah, yeah. Still gonna
You
work, yeah.
gotta do what you gotta do as
Yeah.
a soldier, a husband, and a
Mhm.
soon-to-be father. So
Mhm.
that I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." And it got to the point to where I was making so much money that my command was like, "Hey,
Wow.
Really,
That's their
I
tent then,
hope,
huh?
yeah, I hope this doesn't distract your responsibilities as the recruiting
Ooh.
station member was high. It's not. It's
Yeah.
not actually. It was a
Yeah.
top performing station for 3 consecutive years. So I was
Nice.
able to balance everything. Okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, got to LA and adopted everything I learned from there. And you know, my last year is when I was like, okay, recruiting made me ready,
Mm.
to transition. And honestly, recruiters, respectively, we probably have the easiest transition out of the military because we've already been exposed to the civilian
Right.
market for so long. So
Mhm.
uh, the transition was kind of easy, And then I
Right.
already had built my networks in LA prior when I was stationed in Orange County. So
Mm.
reintegrating myself with the people I knew and making those professional connections, um, it was a simple fit because it was all planned. It was
Yeah.
all planned,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So in my last year, I fought for the time, as in, when you're in the last year, the command allows you to really to transition out early.
Mm.
So I took an internship program with a real estate group of friends of mine to learn true entrepreneurship, and that's when I decided to go into e-commerce and start a website and um, start a product, start a label, start a brand that expresses my trials and tribulations. And
Mm.
what I do is I took it back. I took it back.
Yeah.
My logo, my website, everything that my services, it starts from my roots from the Philippines, and
Yeah.
it sells pretty well. History sells pretty well
Mhm.
because history
Mhm.
happened. History is
Yeah.
proof,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that was the basis of my brand, my logo, my purpose, and
Mhm.
and hence why you have a page like this or a platform like this, because there are gaps, there are
Mhm.
unanswered questions that service
Yeah.
members that have experienced when they're out or even when they're in, and
Mhm.
unfortunately their leadership is not going to provide that. So I
Yeah.
feel that it's our duty, like yours and I's, to bring that to light so they don't fall into those ruts and left
Mm.
with the unknown. So
Right.
I when I got out, yeah, ETS October 1st. Um, my business was thriving very well. I'm already collecting a pension, 100% on the VA. Did my VA claim by myself, and
Nice.
yeah, and went into life insurance. So
Okay.
independent insurance broker because I saw the gaps with the VGLI. So
Mhm.
my services and my efforts and my product are solely for veterans, in and out, but
Yeah.
primarily to express the values and cultures of the Filipinos.
Mhm.
Because in case people don't remember, the Philippines, we're a humongous alliance. I
Yeah.
we would not have won World War II without us.
Right.
So
Right.
that's my bride, my purpose. And
Yeah.
you know, I told Will in my previous interview, I'm one of the few that really didn't have to work afterwards, but there's so much information out there that people need to know, and
Yeah.
I don't want to be lost. I don't want to take
Mm.
this knowledge I have in my brain to the grave because that would
Right.
be selfish. So
Yeah.
that is my drive, that is my purpose, and anybody can do what I can do, but
Mm.
it's just discipline. It's a mentality, okay?
Yeah.
And I always tell guys that did 4 years, 6, 10, 20, you had 20 years to figure it out.
Mm.
Come
Mm.
on, man. But it's never too late.
Yeah.
It's never too
Yeah.
late. Okay. I'm
Right.
actually mentoring a coworker that I work for Leidos QTC. We do all the veteran claims in your area, actually,
Mhm.
in Central Zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's 57 and she wants to learn from me. And I told her it's never too late.
Right.
It's never too late. Actually, if
Mhm.
we strategically do your money right, you could be a millionaire in 15 years.
Mhm.
So yeah, my
Yeah.
and all my knowledge is through experience, and it's proof to it'll work. You just got to do
Mhm.
it.
Right.
It's just discipline. That's all
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
And I mean, I see your story and I see it as um, a possible beacon of hope for people,
Yeah.
that they can be their own boss.
Mhm.
and they can live the life that they want to live.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I just and I want to tell more veteran stories like yours, and I want to keep propping you up, and I want to keep following along with you,
Absolutely.
and just because like I said in the earlier, like I have a lot to learn from you, because like you're at the you're at the peak right now, and I'm mid journey right now. So like, but at the same time, I do feel like I've learned a lot along the way as well, and I'm trying to share what I've learned to military members. It's almost like I see myself as a time traveler, where I'm like, if I can get into an 18-year-old E1 and get
Mhm.
in their head space, and like like you did, like
Mhm.
you started early on in your military career. If I could get to somebody and reach somebody that young, then they could be millionaires down the road.
Well,
Just
yeah,
with
I don't even cut you off, but I understand, because most of I was a recruiter for 10 years, so I know what type of caliber and the type of people we're putting in. They some
Yeah.
come from no income,
Right.
and this type of income is new to them. And what do they
Mhm.
want to do? They just want to buy everything that they never had before. You
Right.
know, I didn't buy
Yeah.
my first car till I was an E6, and people are like,
Oh wow.
you know,
Yeah. Well, yeah,
and
you're overseas for so
yeah,
long. Yeah.
right, right. So like most
Uh-huh.
E1s, E2s, right? They buy a car,
Mhm.
and I'm like, well, you live in the barracks. Where
Right.
are you gonna go? And then everyone's gonna mooch a ride off you, which happens. And
Yeah.
you ever think
Yeah.
about how much insurance costs and
Right.
why'd you buy an Audi as your first
Mhm.
car?
Yeah.
It's just you just
Yeah.
the system kind of contradicts itself.
Mm.
We're in a system to where it kind of happens, and then you got
Yeah.
guys that want to get married because they want to live outside the
Get out
barracks,
of the
and
norms. Yeah. Yeah.
they don't save up for the big events.
Right.
They don't see it that way, and unfortunately, we don't have countermeasures or systems in place to really guide them. You can't tell them not to do that, but they do
Mhm.
it, and then
Yeah.
you wonder,
Yeah.
like, how did you spend this much overseas? And you have nothing to show for.
Right.
How did you
Yeah.
spend 20 years and you have nothing to show for? How can you
Yeah.
retire on Friday and then you have to work on Monday? That doesn't make
Right.
any sense to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
there's a lot to unpack, but if you were to talk to leadership in the military right now, like what would you recommend?
Oof.
What kind of programs would you recommend to help like active duty members help with their finance? I know there are some programs. There's the Air Force side. You have
Mhm.
the Airman and Family Readiness Center. They have
Mhm.
financial counselors, and
They
they have
do, they do.
programs. Yeah, so I know that they're out there, but I guess do you see it as a bigger problem, or what?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So what would
I
you?
I I can I can count how many I'm sure in the Air Force you guys had quarterly training,
Hmm.
right? Annual
Yeah.
training. Okay,
Hmm.
it was always about your literature, your doctrine, your regulation. Where's the finance guy,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that should be part of the promotion process as well.
Ooh, nice.
Just put it out there.
Part of the
You're
pillars of your wellness is
pillars of
your
leadership.
finances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
you're gonna make this guy the breaking point from junior lower enlisted to junior enlisted is E5, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. You have to submit a packet for that. You have to show that your potential leadership attributes are worthy to become a leader. What about your finances?
Yeah. I like it. I like it.
How
And
about that?
and
And it,
yeah,
yeah.
let's I mean, at the very least, we can at least advocate for supervisors maybe to have the discussion with their subordinates and be like, "Hey,
Mhm.
just be part of that discussion of your leadership." It's like, "Hey, how's your finances?"
Mhm.
It's a little uncomfortable for some people, or a lot
It is.
uncomfortable for some people. But I
Mhm.
think, part of that relationship with your supervisor, supervisee, I think that would be a beneficial conversation to have.
Mhm.
But that's I guess that's just something that we can just encourage and have the discussion about, and hopefully
Mhm.
it'll start propagating out to all the different people that can make those decisions. But
Mhm. Mhm.
uh
I mean,
yeah, I mean.
it's a culture. It's a
Mhm.
culture, and honestly, I appreciate what you're doing, and and if we can actually change a culture by 1% at a time, that's good enough to start. But
Yeah,
it takes years to change a culture,
sure.
and it takes higher leadership and influence and proof.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
unfortunately, that's not their priority.
Right.
You
Right.
know, and what's going to happen is you become a bad representation of your branch.
Mm. Yeah.
what we have the systems in place, we have the measures, but they're not being utilized. They're not.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. Okay.
Mhm.
And I used
Yeah.
to think that someone older than me or someone higher ranking than me at the time, I was like, man, he's probably got everything in place. Full soldier
Mhm.
model. Finance
Yeah.
really great. Oh, look at the nice
Right.
car he's got. Not true.
Yeah.
Not true.
Yeah.
Not true. And
Definitely.
some leaders would be shunned, and when they find out, like, oh, my lower ranking person's better money than me, but keep your
Right.
mouth shut about it, right? It's not
Yeah.
something to talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
that's just
Yeah.
how it is. But
Mhm.
I feel very humble and privileged when someone who is more established than me asks me for guidance, and
Yeah. Mhm.
they admit that, okay, I don't know this. I don't
Yeah.
know this. And
Mhm.
for everyone, when it comes to finances, it's education. It's okay to ask for help. Okay, it's
Yeah.
okay
Yeah.
to pay a professional. I mean, I have a
Mhm.
CPA. I right now in my life that I pay
Right.
actively every month just for guidance on what I can write off, what I can do, what I
Right.
can't do, and
Mhm.
that's a good investment to have because
Yeah.
anybody can spend money.
Sure.
Any idiot can do that.
Yeah.
But how to make it grow and sustain and reach those financial goals. Yes,
Mhm.
sometimes you do have to pay a professional to do that and actually do it and listen because
Yeah.
that is why they are certified and licensed in what they do. And so
Exactly.
I firmly invest in people who are more educated than me, and I also learn from them so I can, there's
Yeah.
every person has a mentor. Every
Mhm.
person. Your mentor has a mentor. My mentor has a mentor. That's how
Right.
it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's this whole thing with financial literacy and just being good with your money. You want to be
Mhm.
worth something.
Right.
You look back
Yeah.
and what's your net worth? If it's negative, then we got to fix that.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you're negative and you die, who you think's going to inherit that negative? Your
Mm.
offspring. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you want to make yourself worth something. Okay.
Yeah.
And live as long as possible to enjoy that wealth. All right. Take care of
Right.
yourself. All
Yeah.
right. Being financially free and wealthy, that there's a price that it takes to reach that, but also take
Mhm.
care of yourself because I'm sure you want to enjoy that for as long
Yeah.
as you're alive.
Mhm. Well, man, I could sit here and talk to you for probably a whole nother hour. We're gonna have
Sure.
to probably do this again
Of
sometime, but
course,
we got
yeah.
about
I have
we got
so much,
about
man. I have
uh
particular strategies I could share
yeah,
that
yeah,
are
because
working
I feel like we just scratched the surface on some of the stuff, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
really do think that you have a great story. So
Thank you.
last 60 seconds, is there anything that you're currently working on or something that you'd like to promote, just kind of put out there into the world?
Just my website, www.vettedusa.com. I also own the domain for vettedasia.com. It's all my products I've made for my homeland, the Philippines. Um, yeah, I'm not going to be on this earth forever, just like everybody
Right.
else. So I wanted to leave a piece of my art and my skill and my experience to the world, and that's my avenue. It's still in working progress, but
Right.
people like it. It really brings it back to my roots as far as my service and being a Filipino American. It
Mhm.
happens to be the month of Philippine Independence Day, so it's
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, it's prime time. I
Right.
make a lot of custom work, and all my uh, all my work is harbored and made in the Philippines. So I am employing people in the Philippines to make products for Americans, and it's a great thing.
Nice.
I
Yeah. That's
yeah.
awesome, man. So yeah, definitely check out Vetted. Check out Alistair's work. He's doing great things for the veteran community. And hopefully we're gonna have you on again, and we can continue this
I'd love to.
conversation. And that would be awesome. So thanks for everyone for tuning in. This was, I've been. This is a passion project for me, so I'm just excited to be here and sharing this with the world. So thanks for Joel for rocking the mics on the background. And if you guys want to any feedback for anything like that, just let me know. And this is the Money in the Military show.
That's the show for today, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with an all-new show. And remember, you can listen to us again and again. The podcast of this radio show is available right after we go off the air tonight, anywhere that you can get your podcast episodes. And thanks for joining us today. I'd like to take a moment